This summer, we have seen a ton of huge moves get made both through free agency and through trades made, and obviously the teams that go out and acquire the star players will be the ones that dominate headlines and get everyone talking. Those kind of moves tend to get all of the focus by fans and analysts alike, but every year we see plenty of teams that make strong moves around the edges emerge when play begins, and these are the teams that we'll be looking at in today's video. In this video, we will be discussing 4 NBA teams in particular that have had sneakily good off seasons, improving their current position without drawing a ton of attention for doing so, and I'll be going over what makes their off seasons so strong and why, by taking a look deeper than the big names everyone else tends to look at. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first team we'll be discussing today that has had a sneakily amazing offseason this summer is the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are home of the 2-time reigning NBA MVP in Nikola Jokic, which is obviously a pretty solid place to start and build around, and on top of that, they are expecting to be getting both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back healthy this season, which is huge. Sure, the fact that they have both missed some time could result in a slight drop-off in their production compared to what they were prior to their injuries, but compared to what the team was working with last season, they're both obviously massive upgrades regardless of form. Their returns were already going to set themselves up for a leap this year, but the reason why they're on this list today is because of the moves that the team has made around that trio to construct an ideal roster to support those go-to guys. Last year, in their absence, players like Will Barton and Monte Morris were some of their primary ball handlers and shot creators, and they did a decent job at it, but their roles were about to be both redundant and reduced for this coming season, so the Nuggets viewed them as expendable. They then traded them for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who is a much better fit for what the team needs in their lineup, as Pope operated much more off the ball as a spot-up shooting threat and has made at least 39% of his threes in each of the last 3 seasons, while playing much better defense than either Morris or Barton play. Then they went out in free agency and continued to prioritize players that embrace a smaller offensive role that compete hard defensively when they signed Bruce Brown, who was a key contributor to the Brooklyn Nets for a few years, and now they have a strong mix of offensive scoring talent and role players that buy into their roles around Jokic. The Nuggets could be set to make a deep run this year, and it doesn't feel like many are talking about it. The next team we'll be discussing today that has had a pretty sneakily great offseason this summer is the Sacramento Kings. The Kings haven't been able to end their 16-year playoff drought yet, but this might be the season that changes it. Last year at the trade deadline, they made the first move to set up their future outlook when they traded away Tyrese Halliburton in exchange for Domantas Sabonis, and while that deal has come under heavy scrutiny, it was without question a move that sped up their timeline and has gotten them more ready to compete, as Sabonis is an established all-star caliber big man. With him and De'Aaron Fox leading the way, the Kings are a team built to score a ton of points, and in order to solidify this high-powered offense, the Kings made even more quality moves around them to round out their rotation. First, they traded for Kevin Huerter, who was a reliable secondary playmaker and scoring talent alongside Trae Young in Atlanta for a few years, and can take on a similar role in Sacramento. Then they also signed Malik Monk, who is coming off of the best season of his career as another scoring guard off the bench that can heat up in a hurry, and he already has chemistry with De'Aaron Fox from when they were teammates in college at Kentucky. They also drafted Keegan Murray, who looked sensational in the summer league and can provide immediate production as a power forward that can stretch the floor and score reliably both inside and out. So all of that, plus the potential of Davion Mitchell taking a year 2 leap next season, gives the Kings and their fans a lot to be excited about. The next team that had a sneakily good offseason this summer is the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Hawks did make one of the first big splashes of the offseason, which I know goes against the overall concept of this list, but on top of that, I've also been a big fan of the other smaller moves that they've made to address some of their biggest weaknesses. They started the summer off by trading for Dejounte Murray, who was an all-star last year, which is obviously a pretty big move that drew a lot of eyes, but him coming in was what started an overhaul where the team prioritized improving their defense, which has been holding them back for a while. Dejounte is a former member of the all-defense team and is a fantastic perimeter defender, but the Hawks also went out and either got rid of or replaced some of the other members of their rotation that contributed to their defensive woes. Included on this list is Kevin Huerter, who we just discussed going to the Kings, Lou Williams, and Danilo Gallinari, who all helped the Hawks finish as the second best offense in the NBA last year, but simultaneously all struggled defensively and contributed to their bottom 5 defense. In their place, the Hawks have brought in Dejounte, plus they also got both Justin and Aaron Holiday, who replaced the missing shooting from those guys that left, while also capably playing more of a 3-and-D role. With those other guys leaving, it also opens up more minutes for players like Onyeka Okongwu, who is a phenomenal young defensive talent, and DeAndre Hunter, who provides strong defense as well. The Hawks managed to maintain their offensive firepower while getting better on defense, and could be back contending this season because of it. And finally, the last team we'll be discussing today that had a sneakily good offseason this summer is the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are obviously still rebuilding, so their offseason goal wasn't necessarily to go out and build a team to compete for anything serious in the near future, but every move they made was exactly what they needed to do for the betterment of the development of their young players. Last season, players like Christian Wood and Dennis Schroeder were older guys with big roles in the lineup, playing a relatively inefficient brand of basketball, and for the most part, were getting in the way of the team's young core. On top of that, the John Wall situation was still looming over the franchise's head, as he was still being paid big money, but they couldn't find any takers for his contract on the trade market, so he basically was just sitting around being paid to do nothing. This offseason, the Rockets did the right thing with all 3 of those players, allowing Dennis Schroeder to walk in free agency, trading away Christian Wood, and buying out John Wall's contract to finally free him. Without those 3 in the way, the Rockets are now fully committed to handing the reins over to guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and Kevin Porter Jr., and the rookies they drafted in the first round of this year's draft all seem very capable to play big roles in the team's future. Jabari Smith Jr. should balance the lineup out as a dominant defensive talent who shoots well from deep, and his play style doesn't really clash with Jalen Green. Ty Washington is a promising playmaking guard to develop, and Tari Eason seems like one of the most well-rounded rookies in the draft class this year and could prove to be a massive steal for them. All in all, the Rockets may not be in the playoffs this season, but their future sure is bright. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these teams going into this coming season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.